Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I've got Welsh cake throat now, so I'm choking a little bit. Thanks for staying on. Just to give you a very brief hint at our background and where our company comes from. I'm a journalist by training and worked in television for a long time. And about 8 years ago, I sort of got slightly fed up with the agendas that were running in mainstream media around the ethics of portraying stories. So about 8 years ago, we set up a company with the intention of putting the people whose stories we were telling at the front of making the decisions around the way those stories were told. So we set up a company called Plastic Buddha Productions. Plastic Buddha works in two very distinct ways. We film professionally using our kind of industry experience and knowledge in the way that we're doing today, documenting this event. But we also work with very, very simple technology through a tried and tested formula of parlor-type games, whereby we hand over the skills of media representation to previously underrepresented groups and individuals. Now, over the years, we've had the opportunity to work all across the world. Last year, for example, we were in 10 African countries. We were in Bangladesh, in Thailand, in, where else were we? All over the place. Peru, we were in Stockholm and in Iceland. And most of that work, a lot of that work, was using very simple cameras like this. This camera costs about £85, I think, last time I looked. And it's called a flip camera. Basically what it does is there's a little connection that flips out of the side here. And it's very simple to use. It's got a red button on the back, one button camera. So this, combined with some parlor games, allows people who previously have got no experience of making a film or representing themselves or even thinking about how they might represent themselves on film. It enables them to get their ideas out of their head onto paper, and the resulting films are non-authored. If I went as a journalist into the developing world, the story that I would come back with would be my agenda based on my set of middle-class, educated ethics and understandings of the way that I see the world. What this will allow to happen is that we can share the basic building block principles of how films are made. So we use spidergrams so that people can get their ideas out and onto page very quickly. They then develop those spidergram ideas into a storyboard. Then they'll go off and shoot those. And it's all fun. It's all a laugh, generally. Now, we've used these techniques many times in many different places in an intergenerational context. And what I'm hoping to show you today, Val, when she spoke this morning, spoke about two things that I want to reference this afternoon. One was about the numbers of children who are being parented by grandparents in Africa in particular. And the other thing that she mentioned, and she mentioned a couple of times, was the concept of the bridge. And what this simple piece of technology does is it provides a bridge in many different ways in an intergenerational capacity. Sometimes this will provide a bridge of intimacy. Sometimes it'll build a bridge of understanding, of capacity building. And in some cases, and in this particular case, it builds a bridge of defense. The story that you're going to see now is the story of a young girl in Zambia who is taken back to the village that she left as a 5-year-old. She walked out of her village as a 5-year-old, carrying her 3-year-old sibling on her hip. She'd been looked after by her grandparents because both her parents had died of HIV and AIDS-related illnesses. So she was being parented by her grandmother. Through that period, she was being sexually abused by an uncle in this rural village. She walked out of the village carrying her 3-year-old sibling on her hip, and she fended for herself and for him for 6 months independently before she was picked up by social services. When we met her, she was living in a village for orphans and refugees run by an organisation called SOS Children's Villages, biggest orphan agency in the world. This story is her return to the rural village that she'd walked out from to try and understand why, when this case came to court, her grandmother couldn't testify, because her grandmother was only surviving because of the remissions that were coming from the uncle. She was economically not able to tell the truth to allow for justice to be had for these 2 grandchildren. It was an extraordinarily emotional journey and reunion. And so what you're seeing here is this simple piece of technology allowing Teresa the objectivity to return to her rural village and to try and understand the history that she's more or less put from her mind.
Just tell me where we are, Teresa.
We're at my grandmother's place.
Okay. So after a long day yesterday, frustrating day yesterday, we're finally here. How do you feel?
Good.
Are you excited?
Yes.
When was the last time you saw your grandmother?
I don't remember anything.
Hello!
Grandmother, now how is it when you're old? How is it the life you're living in now that you're 52?
Grandma here, she's saying life it's hard here because right now she has got no husband, no one to support her. So right now she's building the house all by herself. And then if it's rain season, it's okay because she grows food and then they keep the maize. That's what they live on. If the maize bags, maybe 6 or 10 bags finishes, that's the end. So as it is right now, this is lunch time, but no lunch for them, no food.
Grandma, as right now, what are you planning for your future?
Saying the plans which she has is to work extra hard so that they could have food. What she has done, she has made up a plan to ask people to gather the wood, and then she's waiting for one man to pass through so that he could assist her to put fire and burn those wood to have charcoal and sell. After selling, she wants to buy fertilizer in order to prepare for next year.
Thank you for the interview.
That's what we become. Collaborating through the trials we overcome. Many hands, many voices, a justice
I could talk about this technology and this facility and the role that this facility has played in many aspects of cross-generational activity. And this was just one opportunity really that we had to kind of to share a story. This film's never been seen in public before. It was only cut for Teresa's 12th birthday, and her grandmother was at her 12th birthday party in the SOS Children's Village in Lusaka. Quite how far they've got together in terms of rebuilding their relationship since then, I don't know. But what I do know is that this really simple piece of kit and other bits of new technology that you've heard talked about today, Facebook, the internet, or the interplonk, as some of my slightly older friends call it. We're at an amazing stage in our kind of communication evolution together, and you know, it's just been a privilege, I think, for me and some of the people that I work with to have an opportunity to be able to use some very, very basic bits of kit and simple bits of understanding that have given us healthy careers over the years to help facilitate these kind of communications. Thank you very much.